entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections for elevating your business. Welcome to Getting the Edge with Kelly Wilson. And here's your host, Kelly Wilson.
Hi, welcome to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us. Super excited to be here with you each and every week, talking to great and just honorable business professionals and leaders in our community and talking about their products and services. But not just that. Getting the Edge really takes, we take the opportunity to get to know our guest and really learn from them. And that's what this show and what Edge is all about, is really learning from everybody and as everybody kind of paying it forward and giving back. So for more information on Edge, check out edgebusinessmagazine.com. Getting the Edge is a product of Edge Business Magazine. We are Tampa Bay's local small business magazine. Really excited to have been in the community almost 6 years now. It'll be 6 years in September. And
is that all? Just 6?
Oh, really? Yes, just 6.
You know everybody in just 6 years?
I am honored to have. Time just goes so fast. It goes so fast.
It's that you've done a lot with it.
I appreciate that very much.
There have been people here for 10 years, 20 years that don't know as many people as you do.
I appreciate that. I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's great.
Eli Gonzalez, thank you so much. A great friend of mine. Just thank you so much for being here today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much
CEO
for having me.
of The Ghost Publishing. We're going to talk to Eli all about everything that he's got going on and some of the things he's been through, and super excited to have you here today. So thank you for being here. But yeah, almost 6 years. It's just crazy. If you have not yet, please check out our website. You can watch all the previous shows. You can subscribe to the business magazine. Look into our community partnerships and all that those offer. Again, edgebusinessmagazine.com. We were talking earlier about the launch party that we did for the spring launch, where we had the opportunity to honor Malio and Carmine Ivoroni.
Great guys. And I have to say, and many people that know, all people that know you will say the same. You throw the best parties.
I appreciate that very much.
That was a blast. It was packed, wall-to-wall people. Nobody wanted to leave.
It was a great night.
Yeah.
It was a great night. We kept getting RSVPs for the evening. It was one of those evenings, probably the first in my lifetime, where I've said, I hope it rains. I hope some people aren't able to make it because you're worried about reaching capacity. But those are great problems to have, and I am extremely thankful for all the support in the community and everybody showing up for that evening. And not just to celebrate Edge, but to celebrate, and not only Malio and Carmine, everyone else that participated in the magazine. Very excited to have Eli has been an editor-in-chief for for Edge Business Magazine since we've started many years ago.
Yeah,
so thank you again for your involvement. Everyone really that participates. We're fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to spotlight 3 other individuals in our Edge profiles, and that is just a great opportunity to ask the same individuals the same 21 questions and see how the answers differ. And they always are going to, based on their experience and their age and just industries and all of that. So
but let me say that how much of a pleasure it is for me to be the editor-in-chief of the magazine.
I appreciate that.
You're a very good writer, so it makes editing very easy.
Thank you. I don't get credit for all of them. I do write the feature story, but we have a lot of quite a few other tremendous contributing writers.
The contributing writers are awesome. Some of them are my mentors.
Yes.
And like Topher Morrison. And I get a special enjoyment. I don't know if it's kind of mean or not when I have to correct anything from Topher. It's only because he's been such a mentor and inspiration to me, and I respect him so much.
Yeah.
When I get to make him look just a little better on paper,
of course,
that's kind of cool.
Right. Well, I think that says something about us too, that we've kind of got to a point in our lives where we're now get to kind of tweak, some of those that we've looked up to. So that's kind of cool
we all rise together.
Absolutely.
And you're never going to be a master if you never consider yourself a student.
No, we all are. Well, I was going to say we're students first, but actually we're students all the way through.
That's right.
For sure.
We're always students.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that you get to a certain point in your life and in your career where you realize that. And I almost think it gives you a different perspective. I was going to say kind of a leg up, so to speak.
A competitive edge.
Yep, there you go.
When you continually
I couldn't have said it better
learning.
myself.
That's why I'm the editor.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's funny, going back to just the launch party, and actually we have our summer issue that we're working on now, and really excited about the summer issue. And I'm really excited. We're going to start promoting next week, but it's our first annual celebration of women.
Yes.
And this is a unique opportunity. We have quite a few great, tremendous women community leaders, business owners in our community that are participating, including the amazing Jane, our new mayor, Jane Castor. And it's going to be a great issue that'll be out in August. So really excited about that as well. So
that's an issue that you got to get. You got to show your daughters. It'll inspire them. It'll motivate them. There are so many powerful women all over the world, and right here in Tampa. I mean, we have some women that have done amazing things for the community, built amazing businesses, have great families.
Right.
And it's just, so definitely take this coming issue. Let your daughters see it. Let them know that the sky's the limit.
And this has been really difficult to put together, to choose the women to include. And that's why we've decided this is a great opportunity for this to be our first annual. And this way, every year, we can look forward to featuring a lot of great women. There's just so many to choose from. And all of them have a special angle. Many of them are special to me in my life and have been mentors or kind of those women that have really pushed and inspired me. So I'm really excited. This will be great. And I get to do this every year, which is even more exciting. So
awesome.
So look out for more details about that. And we're still looking for advertisers and sponsors, partners to participate. Email us at info@edgebusinessmagazine.com. If you feel you have a great story and you'd like to be a guest on Getting the Edge, you can email us as well. We'd be happy to give you some information and talk to you a little bit more about that. And so just really excited about everything that's going on with Edge. And please subscribe. For $48, you'll never miss an issue. You can get all of the copies delivered right to your home or office. So check again, edgebusinessmagazine.com. Scroll down on the homepage and it's right there. So
there are master classes in just about every article, condensed for today's reader, because we all have ADD today, ADHD.
Yes,
even our grandmothers.
do. Yes, we do.
And so this magazine is designed for today's reader. It's written concisely. It's something that we know is of value and that people are talking about currently right now.
I appreciate. Yes, I thank you. And it's really, but we have great contributing writers. Down to very proud to be a partner of the USF Muma College of Business. But Dean Lamayam is one of our contributing writers. Each issue he writes on leadership. In fact, I was just talking to him yesterday in regards to the angle for his some upcoming articles that he's writing. So, but we've had the vice president of Mitsubishi Electric, global organization, contribute. And Chris Jenkins, which is one of my favorite tech guys in the community, is one of our contributing writers.
One of the things he is not is boring.
Absolutely.
Whether he's speaking, whether it's a post on Facebook or an article, Chris Jenkins is always entertaining.
Yeah, it gives you a unique perspective and angle of looking at material.
He's a unique dude.
Yeah, and almost complex, but not. He makes it easy, but he makes you think. And Chris he's been involved, and I'm very thankful for him and again all of the writers. But that's been involved, and I'm forgetting some really great people that I wanted to mention as we were talking about it.
When you mentioned one, you were like, oh my God.
I know. Well, Laura Scott. Laura's been on our show before. Laura is one of my favorite people. She's great with mindfulness and just she's been very helpful in me, just getting me to think and out of my head. We all have, don't think anybody can admit that they don't have problems staying in their head too much. So she's been very helpful with that. Santiago Corrado, which is CEO of Visit Tampa Bay, has been one of our contributing writers. Again, just really thankful. I could go on, and I don't want to leave anyone out, but very thankful. So
it's a great magazine. If you haven't subscribed yet, somebody else is going to get the edge on you.
I thank you. You definitely, it does give you that competitive edge.
It does.
I think they're keepsakes. It's not full of ads and nonsense that people are just going to pitch. People are going to hang on to these. So make sure you check them out. So, Eli, let's talk a little bit about the Ghost Publishing. Tell us about the Ghost Publishing. You're in almost year 5 now?
Yep. About to hear year 5, where Forbes.com states that 87% of businesses crash and burn after 5 years. So we're probably doing something right. Like you, I have so many people to thank. for us to still be in business. I've been able to bring in, over the past 5 years, on a contractual basis, about 35 different writers and editors.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal talent right now. We employ 7 people full time, and we just brought in someone part time. So it's been phenomenal.
I've had the opportunity to watch you grow as well.
Yeah.
And it's amazing as I've seen you listen and take a little bit here and a little bit there and really listen to everybody and learn, kind of like what we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And you've implemented that into your business and
Yeah.
have just soared and taken off with it.
Yeah, there comes a point when when you're in a season, what I call like the in-between time, where you're just learning.
Right.
And a lot of people hate the in-between time. I was kind of happy when I was first starting out and during the struggle. I was just learning and absorbing. And then there comes a time of implementation, which we did, and then we just started to grow. And now it's kind of just I'm morphing into another role in the company, and that's actually running the business instead of being in the business.
Right.
But that's because of all the techniques and procedures and systems I've learned from other people, and I've been able to adapt it's kind of to my own style.
Right.
And to the behaviors and temperaments of my staff. And we've just been able to grow. We've published more than 100 books.
Wow.
As a ghostwriter in these 5 years, I have ghostwritten 83 books. And,
Wow.
and it's been a heck of a ride.
That is, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And to be able then to be a part of so many people that you're helping their inner self, inner voice really come to life, and that must be very fulfilling.
It really is. There's something more out there than money. It's like you were saying earlier, paying it forward. And with the ability to storytell, on paper, and write books for someone as if it's them. I've been able to use this gift to just touch I don't know how many people.
Yeah.
But whenever I see a review on Amazon or something, or I talk to the authors and they say, wow, this book, this has changed this person's life. I've done a lot of Christian books. I was the senior ghostwriter for the largest Christian self-publishing company in the country, owned by Salem Communications. And as their senior ghostwriter, I've had the privilege of writing for ministry leaders known around the world.
I know. I want to talk a little bit more about that experience as well. Don't go far. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back more with Getting the Edge and Eli Gonzalez.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by TrueLeaf on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Welcome back to Getting the Edge. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Kelly Wilson, your host. Again, so thrilled to be here and have a great friend of mine, Eli Gonzalez, with us, the president of The Ghost Publishing and editor-in-chief for Edge Business Magazine. I want to talk a little bit about your background, but I also want to touch on something before I forget and we get too much further. But we were talking about, I mentioned Laura Scott, leadership coach and great kind of inspirer of mine, if that's a word. I tend to make up my own.
Yeah, that's why you need an editor. But
yeah. I guess I shouldn't have made that. I shouldn't have made that comment with you sitting right next to me. I know better than that. That's funny. Okay, I want to touch on that later too, just about how you do. You did mention me as far as writing, and I do enjoy writing, and I do think I'm all right at it.
You're good at it. You
but
have a
you
talent. You
bring that special touch to it. I will think and write something that I think is okay, and then I send it to you just to look at, and you send it back, and you put that special sauce into it. And it could just be one word here or there, because sometimes we're in our own mind so much. He can look from the outside looking in, which that is what makes you too. Is one of the factors of making you a phenomenal ghostwriter.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's what it is. We don't try to put ourselves in there. We just try to enhance you, the writer.
Oh, yeah.
But I will tell you, when I started ghostwriting, I got so busy. So the first couple of networking groups I went to, I introduced myself as a publisher. Nobody batted an eye. Nobody cared. I went to probably the third or fourth networking event, and I said I was a ghostwriter. I felt like you for one day, like I was the hottest girl around.
Oh, funny.
Everybody wanted my number. Everybody wanted to dance. It was insane. Within like 4 months, I was working on 5-6 books at a time.
Wow.
And so I started to contract other writers. Hey, you've got a master's degree in English. You have a journalism degree. You've written 2 books. Help me ghostwrite. And they're like, well, how do I do it? And I said, well, nobody taught me. You can figure it out. And I realized then and there that ghostwriting is a different skill, that we're kind of a different breed of writer.
To write from someone else's perspective, you really have to understand and care, I would think, and want to understand and comprehend what the angle, the direction, really from that. I would think a lot of people, or many, I don't know statistically, but just don't have that passion for other people that they could just do that.
They can't stop putting their bias into something.
Right.
But one of the bigger problems is that they don't know how to interview. That they don't know how to ask follow-up questions, and they're not inquisitive, and so they never get to the heart of the matter. So then books come out, with no emotion, with no feeling, and those books end up not getting read, and those people end up finding another job.
Wow, I guess
you have to be very inquisitive. You have to understand business too. Like I usually don't bring anybody in that's not at least like 40 years old, because you need life experience, business experience to be able to really fully add to someone's story.
And to understand, especially if you're dealing with people of all ages. And I would think there has to be, I would think, a component of compassion. And maybe not. Maybe someone, if they're talented enough from a writing perspective, they could do it without that. But I would think that that's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
Is really genuinely caring about that other person.
You do. You have to care about the message.
Right.
And there's emotion in every book, whether it's a business book, did a book on flood insurance, where people can get a little excited about. That's not easy to do. There's a way to put emotion in every book, and I teach that in my courses, and it's a segment called How to Write Powerfully, How to Elicit Emotion. I don't know how many times somebody has sent something to me, Eli, you got to read this. You're going to cry when you read it. I was bawling when I wrote it. And I go ahead and I read it, and nothing. Not a flutter, no.
Wow.
And I'm a crier.
He's a crier. That's funny.
Nothing, there is a skill set to it that a lot of people that are good writers can learn, but unless they learn, they don't know.
Well, from that perspective, or in that reference to that story, when it's your own story, if you're reliving something, it is going to obviously kind of be tender. I was going to say another word that's probably not a right word, so maybe I won't. But tender, you know what I mean. So I can imagine that would then, but
if you're not writing it in a certain way, the reader isn't going to pick up on that emotion. Right. It doesn't. It's not osmosis. Emotion doesn't just translate to the page,
Right. Well, if you didn't live the story with me, you may not get it. You may not experience the same bit of emotion that I did. Wanted to just go back, and I keep trying to kind of go back to this. Mentioning Laura Scott, you mentioned one of the things you mentioned was struggle, and as we all are going through the struggle as we're building our businesses. And Laura had said something to me one day. Actually, we have one of the articles in the next issue is going to be about struggle and just what entrepreneurs go through as we're building our business and getting things going. But one day, I guess I must have still been, this was a year or so ago, been holding on to the mentality of that struggle that we go through. And Laura grabbed my hand one day and looked at me in the eyes and just said, Kelly, honey, I give you permission. Release the struggle. Put it behind you. It's in the past.
Powerful.
Would you just looked me dead in the eyes and just said, release it, move forward, let go. And that was a very powerful moment for me, and those words really triggered. And it's great people that we surround ourselves with, and there is a struggle that we all go through, and it does.
I had the similar experience. That's something that freed me, very similar to that. I was in Boca Raton writing a book for a gentleman. He lives across the street from Tony Robbins.
Oh, wow.
He has one of those MTV crib houses, from the show. The house was amazing. The guy's multi-millionaire. We're leaving the house and we're going through his garage, and he's showing me his 5 cars and motorcycles. each car is and so I say to him one day, man, one day I want to get a car like this. And he looks me in the eye. He puts his hand on my shoulder. He's a tall fella. And he says to me, Eli, give yourself permission to be wildly successful. And I looked at him and he says, this is no trivial thing. Give yourself permission to be wildly successful. And when I was driving home, something kind of unlocked.
Right.
You don't know what somebody spoke over you. Whatever you think, maybe because of your parents or your nationality or schooling. So we have these hindrances that we may not even be aware of.
Right.
But when you give yourself permission to be powerful, to be inspirational, to be successful, it happens. Something unlocks, and I think that's what Laura did for you.
Absolutely, and not every one of us is going to have that person that provides that message, or be a close friend. So hopefully, through Getting the Edge and through Edge Business Magazine and our platforms, we're able to kind of grab that hand for you and say,
and give you permission to be wildly successful. You deserve it.
That's right.
You deserve it.
It's so true. It really is. So, and that one of the articles that we're working on for the next issue is really the side effects, and almost from a PTSD perspective of it's almost conditioning that we go through during that struggle, and the consequences of that sometimes, and then kind of and really prospering from that. So from a psychological perspective of kind of just, again, dealing with some of that we deal with. So anyway, lot of great stuff to look forward to in the next issue. So so going back to the Christian publishing, we talked a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about your experience with there, and what made you want to become a ghostwriter? What kind of urged you to do that to begin with? Where did the earnings start yearning?
I was working at as a sales manager for a medical equipment company. Life was great. Had our baby. My wife was a stay-at-home mom. Life was just great. My old pastor calls me up. Says, Eli, I've been trying to work on a book. It's just not coming out for me. Can you take a look at it? And this is from an email. And I'm like, I don't write books, Pastor. But I had written a couple plays before at the church. So he says, just take a look at it. So I open, I look at it, and I see what he wrote, and it was really drab, blah. But he's such a dynamic speaker. So I rewrote the first chapter the way I thought he should have, and I sent it back to him. And then he calls me up. Now it's about midnight, and he's all excited. Eli, this is amazing. You have to do this. I mean, and if you know pastors, everything's a God thing. It's a God. God told me to send it to you, and I'm like, Pastor, I don't know if I have the time. And he's like, no, it's going to be on God's time whenever you can get to it. And I will tell you shamelessly that I've never been praised like that. Mm-hmm. You're amazing, you're awesome. I had never and I will admit that I liked it. So that night I worked on 2 more chapters. And so we went ahead and we finished the book in 9 days.
Well, I think it also could have been clarification or gratification in a sense that you do have a talent with that, and that you beyond just the plays that you've written for the church. I mean, you could potentially. So it probably piqued your interest. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Well, is this something?
Yeah, it consumed me. I mean, the storytelling, the researching about it. It's a book called Excuses. It's done phenomenally well for him. And it's how to not live an excuse-free life. So I tell him when we're halfway through, hey, maybe we should get a couple of life coaches, because why motivate people without giving them the tools? It'll really round out the book. Great, you find some. So I found one, ended up being my life coach for a couple of years. And so when he introduced me to the publishing company, and they gave me an interview right there, then and there, and you really kind of have to jump through hoops to be a writer there. And I really didn't think I was going to get it, because I have a high school education. After that, I went to the Marine Corps, didn't go to college. So I kind of didn't know if I would get the job, and I got there, and the managing editor read some of the stuff that I had wrote, and she kept saying, "You wrote that?" And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am," like hoping she liked it. And they gave me the job right on the spot, and I was thrilled. But then they told me how much they paid. And it was about 32% of what I was making. I thought writers made money. I was like
32%.
I was looking at new cars and stuff, just going to the interview.
Oh, funny.
And so I had to turn it down. They said, I can't do this right now. And they tried to give me gift cards and stuff. And it was like, I'm so sorry. And I left. I lost something when I left there. I was so miserable. After 2 months of being miserable, I used to love going to my job. Now I hated it,
Right.
My wife just said to me, "Hey, baby, look, you have a gift for this. I'll get a part-time job. We'll make it work." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" She says, "Absolutely."
And so you went out on your own.
So I went there. I took the job, and I learned from there.
Well, I want to talk a little bit too about the transition from more of the corporate style and then into entrepreneurship. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back more with Getting the Edge and Eli Gonzalez.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by TrueLeave on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Welcome back to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us today. Joined with great friend of mine, Eli Gonzalez. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having
me. We talked right before we took a quick break in regards to just your transition from corporate and then going out on your own. Any tips that you can provide to us in regards to that experience that you went through?
Yeah, so for me, I started doing things on the side that helped some authors. And that's why when I left there, I figured I'd open a publishing company, and nobody cared because I kind of figured out how to get authors to raise their profile, and then book sales come. By the way, if you're writing a book and you're doing it to sell books, you're not gonna sell books that way. You got to write a book and then leverage it as an author and use that book and that title to raise your profile. Once you raise your profile, book sales will come. Usually book sales come in book 2. Just letting you know if you're writing a book.
You know, and you hear just from people talking, and then they'll say, "Oh, I wrote a book and I got it into the right hands and I became an overnight success." I think is that something, or is that a misconception?
No, it can happen. It can happen, but you got to do it the right way.
It can happen. It's probably like Pamela Anderson, if you remember, like the Baywatch girl, being in a stands at the right time, right? And then somebody just saying, "Hey, I need to put you on my TV show," and then she becomes. I mean, that's not.
It doesn't happen by luck. It's hard work. You know, you got to have a fantastic book. You have to have a team. You know, you have to have a plan. You have to have a goal for the book. Usually when I interview people to work with, I ask them, 2 years once the book's been published, it was a wild success. What does that look like to you? And if they say, "Oh, New York Times bestseller," then I tell them, "Well, we might not be the writers for you." Because we can't quantify that, and I don't want to assure somebody of that because that's very hard to do. But if they say, "Well, I want to raise my profile, I want to get on stages, I want to get on shows, I want to open a podcast, I want to be known as the expert against everybody I compete with. There are, 20,000 realtors here. I'll be one of 3 authors that do business here in Tampa." Then I'm like, "You're my client." We work for people that want more than just book sales. If you want to double your business, if you want to up your closing ratio, a book is amazingly powerful for that. If you want to start a ministry, and if you want to go speaking to women's groups, men's groups, or preach, whatever, a book is great for that. But if you want to write a book just to have book sales and sit at home eating bonbons, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's, I think, a dream we can all work towards. But I don't know, bonbons but you never know. One of the things I was going to say in regards to, I think one great thing with you and one of your talents is getting, many of us want to write a book, and I think it's difficult even from writing, whatever we're writing, but it's hard sometimes to pull the information out of us. And I think from a ghostwriter perspective, that's what you're really good, is getting everything from within out and really in bringing that together. And that's why you've been so successful writing as many books as you have.
I believe so. It's just being inquisitive. Why is that important? And if you're writing your own book and you write something down, why is it important? Why should the reader care? How would that help them?
Well, so again, I've watched Eli grow and just become this amazing man, father, husband, and business owner. And last year, you had such a scare. We all did. And I think it's just another reminder, too, that life is so fragile and short, to maximize every single moment of every opportunity of every day and et cetera. But Eli, just out of nowhere, you were diagnosed. Tell us a little bit about your battle with cancer and what you went through.
Yeah, so life is great, business is great, and all of a sudden I get diagnosed with stage 3 throat cancer, and made the mistake of looking it up and seeing how it's killed millions of people. And I'm a man of faith, but immediately when that happened, I was scared. I was shook.
I can't even imagine.
I mean, it wasn't like, yes, God's going to have the glory in this. I was scared. I remember the day that we found out, my wife and I just crying on the kitchen, in our kitchen, just unbelieving what was happening.
And how did you find out? Like, what was wrong? What happened? Like, how did you just not feel well all of a sudden? Like, were you not feeling well?
I felt great. I had a cough. And then it became persistent. I'm one of those guys that I don't go to the doctor because it's going to go away. I'm a healthy enough guy. After about 3 months, the cough didn't go away. It worsened. So I went, saw a nurse practitioner, said, "Oh, you may have to take out your tonsils." Gave me this magic thing to numb it. and didn't do anything for me. It went from bothering me to hurting me to, oh my God, this is a level 9 pain now.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, so we went to see a specialist, and the doctor was very cordial and fun. You know, once he examined me, his demeanor changed quickly. He is like, you need to get a biopsy. We need to send you here, there, and everywhere.
So he knew immediately something was wrong.
Yeah, and then I tell you what, God and my wife took over. He said it's going to take us about a month and a half to do all these things. My wife didn't call those places. My wife went over to places. She was driving everywhere. You have to see my husband tomorrow. Oh, sorry, ma'am. There's no. Did you? And she was like, sometimes I would be there. It was like almost embarrassing. She would just like start crying. No, Becky, you don't understand. His children need him. I need him. And then poor ladies like, we don't have anything. And then my wife and God, I mean, they just moved mountains. Like one lady sent us home and said, you know, you could call us at 2:30 and see if there's a cancellation. My wife didn't call. She's like, hey, let's get in the car. We got to go back over there. I'm like, did they call? She's like, no. I'm like, I don't want to go. She drags me.
Oh, man.
As we get there, nobody had canceled, right? So I'm like, I told you, you know. All of a sudden, phone rings. Somebody canceled, Mrs. Gonzalez. It was just. I did all the tests and stuff in about 9 days. And just things just got accelerated, and then the test came back, you know, malignant cells, stage 3 throat cancer, and then the battle started.
Now, did you have it in your family at all?
No,
no.
And I never smoked.
I just think that's so good. It's just another proof, just another that it just doesn't matter. Like we're all. You know, at risk at any moment.
Yeah, chaos can come from everywhere. Life is not finite.
Yeah.
You know, something's going to happen.
Well, I'm very happy to be able to talk about this, and you on the other side of it now. But thank God, you know, I'm very thankful for that. I know we all are. But talk a little bit more. So then you find out, and then
so then I go to the treatments, and I tell you, it was the scariest thing. Getting under the mask. So my radiation treatments, what they do is they put a mold of your face, and it's up to like here. And then for the treatment, they would lay me down, and then they strap you in so you can't move. And so you can't touch your face, you can't move your face at all. And then the big machine goes around and puts a laser targeted to the infected area, and that's the treatment. But when I started doing chemo, I was throwing up every morning, like bad.
Goodness.
So my fear was, I'm going to be strapped in this thing. The technicians leave. The machine is loud. I just threw up 5 minutes ago. And now I got to lay here. And if I start to throw up, they're not even going to hear me. I'm going to like die on my own vomit. And I got so scared of getting under that mask. It was, I had never been claustrophobic, but oh my goodness, it was a battle every day. I mean, my wife used to like have to drag me. I started going to the appointments late, like almost hoping they would get rid of me as a patient because I was so scared of that mask.
Two things. First of all, you're dealing with throat cancer, so I can only imagine the vomiting and what that's doing to you. And then, how long are you in the treatment? How long are you laying there once?
So it's 6 minutes. And you know, but it's 6 minutes from hell.
Oh,
you
6
know,
minutes.
I mean,
It feels like
I couldn't even deal with it.
Right.
So I told the doctor, look, doc, I promise I won't move. Right? But stop strapping me in. And the doctor's like, well, listen, there's lasers affected here. If you cough, if you sneeze, and if you move, it can damage other things.
Right.
So we have to make sure that you
don't move.
You're right, that you're mobile. So he gave me some pills to take, some anti-anxiety pills. I never used anxiety pills before. Never knew claustrophobia was a real thing.
Right. This was a great reason to need them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And it helped me. It helped me until I got to the point where my faith really started to kick in. And so thankful for everyone that prayed for me and my wife and my family and all the support. We got so much support. I can't express how grateful I am for all the support from all my friends and family. It was amazing. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, but God, if I do this, taking these pills all the time, how do I say that you helped me through this? And it just had a moment when I'm like, God, we're going to do this, me and you. I don't need the pills. I thought I needed them, but it was a huge point in my treatment and I think a test of my faith and got through it.
I like what you said to me at some point because again, we've had the pleasure of being your friend for a long time. But you made the comment to me. You said, because we both joke or we're on this mission, and we've been very driven and we stick with it. But Eli made the comment and said, if I wasn't driven before, I am now, and are on a mission. And you always were, but that just for you to come now on the other side of that and have gone through that and.
Yeah. I had one night where, and I'll say this quickly. I prayed in my mind. I couldn't speak at all. So how wrong
from
my
the
throat
pain
was.
or just
from the treatments, and I couldn't speak at all. I'm in the hospital. I had a blood infection. Just broke a fever for 48 hours. I was miserable. Just prayed to God, Lord, just take me. I'm good. I've loved a lot. I've laughed a lot. I've lived longer than a lot of people. I'm good. Take me. And I went to sleep really hoping not to wake up. I wake up like 3 hours later, and the first thing I think of is why am I here? But then I started to think, yeah, but Eli, if you left now, what did you really do with your time? Like really? And I started to think about all the times I've wasted playing games on my phone, binge watching shows on TV. I have kids that don't live with me. I have things I could have done with that time. And I made another prayer in my head, God, give me another chance. I promise to live a life of intentionality. And I'm 100% cancer free. And if I was driven before, I'm driven now, not so much on a business, but just living a good life, living the right life, just maximizing my time with my family, with the things that I feel that I'm called to do. And I rarely watch TV. I say no a lot more to places and to people when people invite me. If it's not like tied into my mission in the direction that I'm going, if it's even some people that are going in opposite direction than me, I got no time for you. We're trying to build something, impact people, because one day we won't be here. And what will they say about you? And that I was almost there. I was thinking of my funeral, my eulogy. What are people going to say? And I didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, and just lesson learned. I mean, we don't take time for granted. So, wow. Well, we're going to take a quick break on that note, and we'll be right back more with Getting the Edge. So don't go far.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by TrueLeaf on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Welcome back to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thanks so much for being with us. We've had a very powerful opportunity to talk with Eli.
Don't come here. She'll make you cry.
Oh,
She's like
man.
Oprah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm just so thankful that you are here, sitting here with me right now.
Thank you.
And I'm just honored to be your friend, and
my goodness.
have, I look forward to watching you and us, and just continue to be driven.
We're going the same direction.
All right.
Keep it moving.
Wow. Eli, the ghostpublishing.com, write his email for more information on Eli's company, The Ghost Publishing. Let's talk a little bit about your book. Let's talk about The Fierce Urgency of Now.
Yes.
I will admit I wanted to try to read it before you came on today, but I did just kind of glance through parts of it, and I do get a lot of books from different people, and I do about a couple times a year. I'll take a break from all the other writing, and that I'm doing and preparing for other things, and I will grab some of those that have touched me that other people have written, and I'll read them. But this is one that did not go on the shelf with the others. This is one that's right there by my desk and my laptop that I'm hope to grab each evening as I have some time to read, that I plan on reading. So tell us a little bit about The Fierce Urgency of Now.
Well, as you can see, the book is titled The Fierce Urgency of Now, and that's and it details my journey. And I didn't know, but a lot of that people would cry the way they have when they've read it. I've had so many people that say, on Facebook, "Oh my God, I'm in chapter 3. I've cried twice," and it's amazing how people can just jump in the journey with you. And I didn't hold back. I'm not a superhero. I'm a real guy. And when I was scared, I say I'm scared. And when I was shook, I say I'm shook. And I was as honest as I could about it. It's really impacting a lot of people. And that's part one of the book. It's broken up into 3 parts. Part 2 were kind of lessons I learned while I was sick, and then part 3 is really meant to inspire and motivate a lot of people just to capitalize on the time that they have. Seize your present to have a better future.
Well, The Fierce Urgency of Now, just from the story we've kind of talked about, we kind of know where that comes from. Seize your present and maximize your future. I like that. We talked a little bit about where the title came from, a little backstory behind that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So that's actually a line that Dr. Martin Luther King said in his "I Have a Dream" speech.
I love that.
But I went to see, once I got well, I went to see T.D. Jakes preach.
Oh,
and
wow.
I had a different title for the book. And I'm in the 5th row. He turns around, starts walking, and he says, "You have to take hold of the fierce urgency of now." And he was like looking right at me. So that's where the title came from.
And I love those serendipitous moments.
Yes.
And those, if you're aware, they happen all around us all the time.
You just got to look for them.
And as we were talking about contributing writers, one that I did not mention earlier is the great Andy Gold. And Andy is a very serendipitous, thought-driven, and is kind of our serendipity writer for the magazine. So
after writing so many books and having 11 New York Times bestsellers and a couple of Wall Street Journal bestsellers to my credit, my book came out. And I'm very grateful to say it debuted at number 3 on Amazon.
That's amazing.
And I was blown away. Thank you, everybody that bought it and for the support. Thank you so much.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
so now what? What more books in store? What are your plans going forward now, other than being extremely driven?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to slow down on the ghostwriting.
Okay.
Because I have some extremely talented writers now, and we work more on the business and a lot of content that I have stored in my head. I mean, I've had the privilege of just writing so many books for such phenomenally talented and successful people, and it's all kind of bunched up in here. So now I kind of have my own spin on different things, whether it's a book on marriage my wife and I are working on, a book on leadership that we're working on. So now I'm just going to start working more as an author and work on the business, and I'm getting opportunities to go and speak on a lot more stages. So I'm opening myself up to travel. I'm going to Brazil. I'm going to Malaysia. potentially Argentina and El Salvador this year. So that's kind of the next step for me.
And one of the things, and we've talked about before, is some of the involvement that you're doing with kids and being able to give back. And I know you wanted to give back in big ways.
Yeah.
But again, tomorrow's not guaranteed. So you found some other ways to kind of start giving back now. So tell us a little bit about that.
So before I got sick, I write my goals down, and I wrote, by this year, I'm going to be able to give this amount, and I'm going to start the Eli Gonzalez Foundation. And I talked to the school committee, and I said, what's the criteria? They said, well, whatever you want, since it's your money. Right? So I said, okay, I want to give to a Hispanic student who comes from a single-parent home that got accepted to a D1 school, to a big school. I think that as a Hispanic business owner, I think that's the person that deserves it. They've gone through a lot of challenges,
right.
and I think that the Hispanic business community, all business communities should get behind a child like that.
Right.
So once I got sick, and then I'm here, I said, okay, I'm going to do that this year. I'm not going to give what I was hoping to give, but I can give X amount. So I started the Eli Gonzalez Foundation. I'm in the process of getting the 501c3 now. And so I was going to give that money and went to the school and the person, and I thought it was a little bit of money. And she said to me, are you kidding me? That's so much help to that family.
Right. So
I have the pleasure of serving for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here of Tampa Bay. I was on the board of directors for a couple of years until I got sick, and now I'm a special advisor. And I mentioned it, what I was donating, and without asking, somebody said, I'll match you. Then somebody else says, well, I'll give 100. Now, I thought that this year I was going to help one child, one student. Right now, we're helping 3. And I think that by the time September rolls around, we're going to help 6 kids this year. And it just warms my heart.
That's the power of now and the power of people. And you can do so much. We can do even more with more of us together.
And I want to thank Dr. Cesar Lara, who is the guy that said he'll match me.
Oh,
and,
wow.
So big shout out to you. It inspired others to join in. And so just really happy and humbled about that.
Wow. Your story is amazing. A couple questions just to kind of for tips and maybe strategy that can help others. If you could go back 15, 20 years to your younger self, let's say 20 plus, like what to your young 21-year-old self, or what advice would you give your younger self?
Right now I'm looking at a lot of people, a lot of gurus saying that college, is not needed. For me, I would go back to school earlier. I think I'd get where I am now a lot. I would have gotten here 15 years sooner.
With the education.
With the education. So although there's all these gurus saying all these things, education is extremely important. I think I would have done that. I think I would have found a life coach. If I could do it again, I would have found a life coach way earlier. Once I had a life coach, somebody that's been where I've never been, that was focused on me, that didn't buy into my excuses,
right?
That kind of called me on it. Because once Brian Zoss, my life coach, is very instrumental into where I am now, and all the people that I've helped, is directly linked to him. So to anyone younger, find a mentor, find a life coach, somebody you respect, somebody you trust, someone that's been there, someone that's been where you want to be. And then do what they tell you to do.
Right.
You don't get a coach to say, yeah, that's not me. I'm not going to do that.
Right. Right.
Get the right counsel and then follow through with it.
Right. Absolutely. So you mentioned building a team, bringing in other writers. What advice would you give us on building a team so that we can provide or relate to really any industry when you're kind of matching people personalities with what we're doing to build?
Yeah, we like to hang out with like-minded people, right? And we were hanging in the same circles. And I think the mistake that I did at first was hire people from the same circles, because with the same circles, they kind of have the same strengths that you have.
Right.
And I'm on my 3rd kind of round of a team. Now I have people that are so diverse and different from me because they bring different elements to the table. Now, there are a lot fewer blind spots for us as a company when we go and talk. When I first started and I was bringing friends and people that I knew and almost respected too much to not take their advice, that hurt me. So find your weaknesses, get stronger on what you're strong at, and find someone else to do what you're weak at. You know,
Absolutely,
and then because
great
then
advice.
you become an expert at what you're strong at, and then you have all these other people that are filling in all the holes for you.
I think it is a common mistake that we make because we do flock. We tend to stick with people around us. So we want to surround ourselves with those that we get along with and where that are better just like us.
And share the vision.
Right.
It's not just money. Now, it's not just pay. People want to feel like their lives have value. So people that join my team, they have to share in the vision. I tell them where we're at now, where we're going to. You know, and I don't want to hire anyone that just wants to eat. You got to help me hunt. You got to help this grow. You know, and when they can take inventory in it and take stock in the company, you know, then they're giving you more than what you're actually paying for, but they want to.
One of my favorite quotes, which I always mess up, so I don't even know why I try, is Benjamin Disraeli, but he said, "Don't just share your wealth and knowledge with other people, or show them how to create their own."
Yeah, There's a Chinese proverb: if you want to help people to help you buy a ship, build a ship, teach them to long for the open sea.
Oh wow!
Make them want to do it too. You know, and then boom, you just take off.
Your story is so inspirational, and again, I'm happy to not just hear the story, but to be your friend. And,
man, you're awesome.
Well, ditto. I think you are as well. Happy to have you in my life, and in as a editor-in-chief for the magazine, and to help share your story. So we mentioned the ghostpublishing.com. Where can we get the book, The Fierce Urgency of Now? Amazon, you mentioned.
Yep, it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. And I have some online courses if you want to learn how to make a living as a ghostwriter, how to write a Christian book, how to blog and monetize it. I have courses on each.
So is that on your website as well?
Well, I have the International Ghostwriters Association as well. That's on that website.
Okay.
So along with some people that are smarter than me, some college professors, we've developed these curriculums, and they're changing people's lives, changing the way people would write their books.
Well, definitely for more information, we have your email and all your information. Please reach out to Eli for additional information and to get involved. And again, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. For more information, check out edgebusinessmagazine.com. Until then, never stop dreaming. We'll see you soon.